Chapter 3 of Poppy Playtime has raised more questions than it answered. Who is Ollie? Is the prototype really evil? Who attacked Kissy at the end? Who is paying the damn electricity bill? Joke's on you, this is a gas-powered facility, clearly. But one of the most common questions many people have is exactly what happened to the orphans. For such a huge part of the story, we've not really seen anything of the children who were here during the downfall of Playtime Co. But after reviewing the evidence, I think we actually have a pretty solid explanation for what happened to them all. And of course, it's way darker than you think. Hello everyone, my name is Tericho, and on this channel I like to delve into the lore and secrets of the darker video games out there. I've investigated Poppy Playtime, Little Nightmares, other games, and hopefully some new games this year too. So if you want to join the investigation journey with me, maybe subscribe, the usual YouTube spiel. But today I'm taking a closer look at one piece of evidence in Poppy Playtime many people seem to overlook. You see, the Smiling Critters VHS at the start of Chapter 3 seems like nothing more than a cute intro to the game, but it actually contains some huge clues as to what really happened behind the scenes. It might even contain some answers to our biggest questions, so let's get into it. Chapter 3 gives us our first proper look at the most pivotal moment of the Poppy Playtime story, the Hour of Joy. Before this event, Playtime Co. was a hugely successful toy company under the leadership of Elliot Ludwig, a mysterious man who we know little about, but we do know that his mission was to bring smiles to children. As part of this mission, Elliot created the playcare, the on-site orphanage that we now know is a giant underground metal orb bunker thing. This sealable structure was a way for the company to keep the children safe from the horrors of the world above. Somewhere along the way, the company began to use its technology to transfer human consciousness into doll bodies. We still don't have a concrete answer as to why this research was started, but I have a theory about that for another day. This scientific process, as it's known in-game, slowly became twisted and warped from its original design, eventually being used to create a cheap workforce for the factory. That very orphanage Elliot created to give children a better start in life became a selection process for who would be forced to live inside the body of a toy and work for the company forever. But all of this came to an abrupt end during the Hour of Joy. We got our first look at this terrifying moment in Chapter 3. The VHS that Poppy gives us shows us exactly how brutal the Hour of Joy was. The toys simultaneously rebelled, slaughtering any staff members in sight. We can see exactly how devastating this really was, with bodies of the factory staff littering the floor all over the factory. Poppy tells us that no one was spared. Guilty or innocent, it didn't matter. The toys murdered any staff they could find, and this explains why the factory has remained abandoned until this day. But one of the biggest questions many people have is what exactly happened to the children in this moment. The game station and playcare were always shown to be absolutely full of orphans, but now there is no sign of any of them to be found, only their possessions and pictures remain. So where did they all go? Were they all killed as well? Well, Mob already gave us an answer, we just didn't realize it. In Chapter 3, we get a very brief VHS conversation with Miss Delight. She tells us that she asked Catnap if the children were safe. Catnap, knowing that Miss Delight horrifically killed and ate the other teachers, refuses to tell her where the children are, but he does tell her that they are safe. But can we really trust his words? Well, actually, yes. At the start of Chapter 3, we get to see a VHS cartoon episode of the Smiling Critters. We don't know for sure if this was supposed to be publicly televised, but judging by the fact that it's being shown on this news clip means it probably was. This cartoon might seem like just a little bit of extra world building, a fun cartoon to introduce the Smiling Critters for Chapter 3, but recently we realized that this cartoon contains huge secrets. I discussed in my previous video that Dog Day in the VHS was kind of suspicious. His pose in the cartoon matches his pose we find him in the game. Not only that, but his lower half is covered by this blanket, which is also a nod to how we find that his entire lower half is missing. Now, in case you didn't piece this together, he wasn't cut in half. The smaller Smiling Critters have been feasting on him. He actually tells us this, but this also makes the small Bobby Bear hug we saw in the CCTV before Chapter 3 even creepier. She was going into that cell for a snack. But this isn't the only secret that this VHS contains. Taking a closer look, this VHS is way more important than we thought. Remember that we got to see this VHS before Chapter 3. I talked about the clock on the wall. It was a cute little detail, but the time on the clock shows 10:06 or 1006. A nice little detail for sure, but this was actually a huge clue and I cannot believe that we missed it. You see, all around the playcare during Chapter 3, we can find clocks on the walls. That is, of course, nothing out of the ordinary. But what is strange is that every single one of them stopped at the exact same time. Every single clock you can find in Chapter 3 is stopped at a few minutes after 10. I assumed this was when the Hour of Joy occurred. Maybe the toys or 1006 cut the power in this moment, causing all the clocks to stop. But now looking at the VHS again, that means that this is taking place during the Hour of Joy. It makes perfect sense. The smiling critters are scared of the loud thunderstorm that is taking place outside. But knowing that Dog Day in this VHS was foreshadowing what was really going on, I think this thunderstorm is actually the terrifying sounds of the Hour of Joy. These thunderstorms actually being the sounds of the staff being killed and eaten right outside this door. These toys represent the children, huddling around terrified as the toys were going on a murderous rampage outside. This makes this VHS way more dark. The children are happy to see Catnap, many of the children at this point see him as a friend, they even beg him for the gas, anything to stop the noises. Catnap put these children to sleep with his gas so he could continue the rampage with them out of the way. This makes everything even more terrifying. While the staff were being slaughtered around the factory, the orphans were being kept sedated through it all. But knowing how the gas affected us, it likely meant the children weren't exactly having peaceful dreams. We get some more hints to this in CG5's latest music video. This is also something I want to cover in a future video, since it seems to contain some pretty interesting details. But this video has clips that give us another look into the Hour of Joy. While the bigger toys were going full kaiju mode, you can see Poppy trying to survive. We know Poppy was eventually captured and put into her case with the red smoke, but before that, we can see her terrified, hyperventilating, eyes wide, and bloodshot. Again, this makes total sense. Regardless of what we think about Poppy, her being innocent, a villain, or a mixture of both, this moment truly was terrifying for her. Watching the staff be torn apart, the toys killing without mercy, really did affect Poppy in this moment. So imagine how terrifying this would have been for the children. It makes perfect sense that 1006 would have wanted the children out of the way for this. We have seen before that 1006 really does seem to care for the children. Remember, he had almost escaped the factory, he had every chance to leave, the only reason he was captured was because he decided to take Theodore Gramble, the orphan who became Catnap, back to the staff to save his life. I'm sure you're sick of me saying this at this point, but I really do want to give 1006 a whole video soon. I think many people are wrong about him. So knowing that 1006 seems to really care for the children, and now knowing that they were put to sleep by Catnap during the Hour of Joy, I think we can safely say that the children survived. There was no reason for 1006 or the toys to kill them, especially since throughout Chapter 3 we can see many hints that the bigger bodies actually cared for the children. Mommy Longlegs was shown to hate the staff but be warm towards the children and other experiments. 1006 was shown to be extremely violent towards the staff but similarly cared for Theodore. Even Kissy Missy showed us in Chapter 3 that she cared for the children too, but yet again attacked us, an ex-staff member, until Poppy convinced her we were here to help. Every single piece of evidence points to the Hour of Joy being a rebellion of toys, many of whom were orphans, against the staff. My gut is telling me at this point the staff members who were turned into toys were only spared if they agreed to go along with 1006. The toy staff who disagreed or stood against 1006 were treated the same as the living staff, food for the toys. So now we have an explanation of what happened to the children during the Hour of Joy, but what happened to them afterwards? Well, this is where we have to speculate, but I think the best explanation is that the orphans are being held in the bottom of the elevator we were using at the end of Chapter 3. Knowing that the playcare was supposed to be a way to keep the orphans safe, this sealed part could make sense. Perhaps this is the last line of defense in case something went wrong. In fact, I have already speculated that the labs are down there. The experiments would have likely been done in the most secretive and secure part of the factory, and I think this is it. But this could even be a hint to the fate of the orphans. Once the staff were all gone, 1006 and the remaining toys, perhaps even a few select staff, could have transferred the orphans into doll bodies. This is why Ollie still sounds like a child after all these years. I think it makes perfect sense for 1006 to lock the children down there. I've said in previous videos that I think 1006 really did want us to leave. Huggy only got aggressive as we got close to Poppy, Mommy seemed to begrudgingly give us the train code, and Catnap warned us all the way through Chapter 3 to leave. only attacking us as we were about to power the elevator. It seems like 1006 doesn't actually want to kill us. He has had several opportunities to do so. He seems more like he's protecting something, protecting the children that are being kept safe, albeit trapped in this bunker. The children that Poppy is trying to free. Although I still don't think Poppy is doing this for the children. Keep an eye out for the 1006 video. I think I have an explanation for everything and I still don't trust Poppy at all. So I hope you did enjoy this mini theory while I work on the bigger ones. Those ones are taking a little bit of extra time because I am a one-man band and I need to get more footage and stuff, so thank you for being patient. As always, if you did enjoy the vid, don't forget to leave it a like, let me know what you think down in the comments below. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time.